Welcome back to Horror History, the podcast where we explore the darkest, most unsettling stories from the past. I'm your host, Vigilante. Today we're heading to Northern California, to a quiet town in 1978, where 5 men, close friends, all with mild disabilities, vanished after a basketball game. Their car was found abandoned on a mountain road. Months later, 4 bodies were discovered scattered in the woods. One was missing. One had survived for weeks, just steps away from heat, food, and shelter, but never used any of it. What happened to the Yuba County Five? Why were they up there in the first place? And why does this case mirror one of the most famous unsolved mysteries in the world, the Dyatlov Pass incident? This is a story of confusion, tragedy, and fear. A case filled with more questions than answers. So lock your doors, turn down the lights, and settle in. This is Horror History, Season 1, Episode 22, The Yuba County Five, America's Dyatlov Pass. February 24th, 1978, 5 men, Jack, Bill, Jack, Ted, and Gary, carpooled from their hometowns near Yuba City to attend a college basketball game in Chico. They were close friends in their 20s and 30s. All had varying developmental disabilities or mental health conditions. But this trip was supposed to be fun. They had plans the next day. They were excited to play in a Special Olympics tournament. Their uniforms were already laid out at home. Snacks were packed. They were in good spirits. But they never came home. 2 days later, Jack's car, a Mercury Montego, was found abandoned on a remote mountain dirt road, far from any logical route back. It wasn't stuck. The tires were fine. The gas tank was about a quarter full. The doors were unlocked. No signs of struggle, just left there. They had no reason to be in the mountains. In fact, they hated the cold. The families were confused. Police were baffled. Then, things got stranger. A witness later came forward. That night, he'd seen 5 men near his cabin in the mountains. He said they came by around midnight, knocked on his door, and asked for help. But he was half asleep and didn't answer. The next morning, they were gone. For months, search crews combed the woods. Nothing turned up until June 4th, when the snow finally melted. About 20 miles from the car, deep in the Plumas National Forest, investigators found a U.S. Forest Service trailer. Inside was the body of a man named Ted, lying on the bed, wrapped tightly in sheets. His feet were frostbitten. He had lost over 100 pounds. He had a beard roughly 8 inches long, and he may have survived for up to 13 weeks. And yet, inside the trailer were matches, propane tanks, and enough packaged food to last weeks. But they hadn't been used. Someone had broken in a window to get inside, but they never turned on the heat. They never opened the cupboards. Outside, things were worse. Nearby, they found the remains of Jack and Bill, 11 miles from the car. They'd likely succumb to exposure. 2 days later, the other Jack's bones were found deeper in the woods, scattered, picked clean. Only Gary, the 5th member of the group, was never found. His shoes were inside the trailer, suggesting he'd been there, at least for a while. But then what? Did he leave and die somewhere else? Was he ever really there? His body has never been recovered. So, what happened? Some theorize they were chased, possibly by someone trying to harm them. Others believed Gary, who had paranoid schizophrenia and was known to stop taking his medication, may have had a psychotic episode that led them astray. There's also speculation that the group took a wrong turn in the dark and simply got lost. But that doesn't explain why they kept walking further and further into the mountains, away from civilization, deeper into danger. And then there's the eerie comparison to the Dyatlov Pass incident in Russia. In both cases, groups of people ended up dead in the snow under bizarre circumstances. In both, behavior didn't make sense. Survival tools were ignored, the dead were scattered, and no one could fully explain what had happened. The main difference? In Dyatlov, the wilderness was vast and unforgiving. But in Yuba County, the trailer had heat and food. Help was right there. But they never used it. To this day, no one knows what spooked them. No one knows what happened to Gary. And no one knows why 5 men with so much to live for ended up dying alone, cold, and afraid in the California mountains. The Yuba County Five remains one of the most haunting cold cases in American history. Not because of gore or violence, but because of the silence that it leaves behind. There was no sign of a killer, no proof of any foul play, just 5 men who vanished into the night. And a trail of tragedy that still defies explanation. Thank you for listening to Horror History. Season 2 is on the way, but until then, stay curious, stay cautious, and as always, stay safe. Peace.